Just heads up.
These are new emails that have come in the last 24 hours, I think. It'll be easy for me to make sure that I'm not rereading somebody's email unless some twisted person decided to email again and again and again and again and again and it hit the inbox yesterday. I hope not. And I have to leave this afternoon. I thought I had another day, but I don't. Excuse me, this is titled Apology. Excuse me. Steve. If you being upset about my mentioning another Bigfoot group, I sincerely do not mean to violate any of your rules. Dude, I'm not upset. I never intended to do that. I only mentioned that group while agreeing with you about the Mark Barton incident. You indicated that you did not accept the story about the shadow people as it was told. I indicated that I did not accept the story about the shadow people. I did not say those words either. What I said was I don't believe the Sasquatch people were responsible for saying the words to him which they said, which was said, and putting him through that emotional trauma. As a very young child, I was looked at as different. I did not accept any kind of remuneration for my work as a psychic. While talking to Mark, I strongly sensed that he had undergone a very traumatic incident at a young age. All right, that's enough of that, chicken. There's like 2 or 3 hens that wake up in the morning and insist on pacing back and forth in the door of the shop and going, it drives me friggin' batty. People say, well, close the big shop door. If I do that, it creates the echo quadruples. Okay. Sorry, getting back into it. I questioned him about, While talking to Mark, I strongly sensed that he had undergone a very traumatic incident at a young age. I questioned him about this event and he admitted it. There was no way anyone could have known about what happened, least of all me. I only responded to something in section of the video where Mark's name was used. I was trying to set the record straight about this supposed incident. Please accept my apology and let's move forward from here. I used my name if by any chance you wanted to follow up. I truly feel that you're doing a fantastic job in helping people and will continue to wait eagerly for future videos. Best regards, Tom. Tom, no problem, man. Yeah, no, I'm not upset in any way, never have been, and I barely even remember what I actually had to say. Here come the shittins now. And no, the one thing about what I observed there, just to make it clear for my part, I'm never right and I'm never wrong. Who knows if I'm right, who knows if I'm wrong. But from what I have learned, I do not believe that human beings are a sought-after trophy. When it comes to, if it came to a game of hunting, we just aren't. We're feeble, absolutely feeble. And so do I believe that the Sasquatch beings that we are familiar with were responsible for doing what happened to that man? Not a chance. Because if it were, do you realize how many people would be in the exact same position as him and have the exact same reaction as him, and how common that would go down? We've had tens of thousands of emails in. Never once have we had that particular incident happen and be relayed and shared with us. Not yet, right? Anyway, that's all I had to say. On that one, moving along, no apology required, but accept it if it helps, but you didn't need to apologize for anything, my man. And keep emailing back in if you got anything that'll help the people, alright? Now, moving along. 3 forest people encounters from around the world. Dear Steve, thank you for everything you do. Feel free to use my name. I'd like to share with you 3 forest people encounters from 3 countries, including the US, Australia, and the Ukraine. Please note, the encounter from the Ukraine is not political in any way and does not discuss the current situation in the Ukraine. Dude, there's nothing you can do to stop that. People, you can stress what you want to talk about and what it isn't about to the community, online community, and it doesn't matter. There's always going to be that one person that ignores what you said and they're going to go on a tirade on the political aspect anyway, right? But I get it. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Let's get into it. Encounter 1, mid-90s. Susanville, Northern California, USA. I was visiting a friend and meeting her parents in Susanville, California. It was just after dusk and we drove to Inspiration Point to view the town lights below. We were sitting on the front of the car. I was about to get my first kiss when something caught my attention in the tree line to my right. I looked over to see what looked like red embers burning in the darkness. I slid off the front of the car to have a closer look as I thought someone had left a fire burning. As I moved closer and began to crouch down to get a clearer view, I noticed the red embers were not from a fire. I saw the outline of 2 huge hairy creatures with glowing red eyes. One creature was squatting on its ankles with its head cocked sideways looking directly at me. The second creature was standing slightly bent over, hands on its knees, head slightly cocked, looking at me also. I ran back to the car, grabbed my friend, and we skidded out there. We were both shaken up by the experience. Unfortunately, I didn't get my California kiss that night. I gotta stop the cab. Get out of here, hold on. I ran back to the car, grabbed my friend, and we skidded out of there. We were both shaken up by the experience. Unfortunately, I didn't get my California kiss that night. Encounter 2, August 2018, Fitzroy Falls National Park, Fitzroy Falls, New South Wales, Australia. It was late evening and I was driving with my mother from the New South Wales south coast to Sydney. I decided to take a road which would shorten the journey, but passes over a forested mountain pass. The weather conditions were horrendous with storms, wind, and rain. My vehicle was equipped with powerful spotlight illuminating the entire road ahead. While driving over the pass, we both commented on a terribly rotten smell. I've never smelled anything like this before in the Australian bush. Even a dead animal carcass does not have an odor this potent. Suddenly, my mother and I saw a huge, tall, hairy man step out onto the road to the right of us. We passed the creature quickly as I was traveling at speed. I glanced in the rear vision mirror only to see a large wombat crossing the road. What struck me was the size of the wombat. It was so large, his body was the length of the entire road lane. 2 thoughts filled my mind. Where did the tall, hairy man go? And if a car was to hit the wombat, it would have destroyed the car. My mother and I know what we saw, a yowie, that night, and it morphed into a wombat when it knew I had seen it. The smell continued to linger in the car air conditioning for the next 2 days before it was completely gone. That's creepy. Encounter 3, July 21. Pripyat, Chernobyl, Ukraine. I spent a week in the Special Administrative Zone of Chernobyl, the site of the 86th Chernobyl nuclear power plant disaster. Even though radiation is present inside the zone, nature is abundant with both flora and fauna taking over. I was exploring the ghost city of Pripyat with a Ukrainian colleague. Pripyat was a city of military importance abandoned after the explosion at the plant. We were walking through the abandoned sports center alongside the dive pool. In its time, this indoor facility was the jewel in the Soviet crown for sports. We took a side hallway and entered the abandoned gymnasium. It started raining and we started taking photos through the broken windows at the lush green forest outside. I heard a heavy dripping sound and assumed it was from the rain. Gradually, the dripping sound got louder and heavier. My body froze and I could not move. I was filled with fear. I've been in frightening situations in my life, but nothing has paralyzed me like this. I had enough strength to move my lips and whisper to my colleague, "There's someone there." While visiting the zone, you are not permitted to enter the buildings, so I was a little nervous. My colleague told me to be silent, and he froze also. We had a view through the double doors looking out from the gym into the dive pool area. The dripping sound was now so loud, the concrete building was beginning to shake. To our shock, a huge, hairy, two-legged creature walked along the corridor past the double doors. The creature was so tall, we could see to its shoulders only. Its head was above the outside door frame, making the creature between 8 to 10 feet tall. We stood frozen for about another 30 seconds until the footsteps were gone. My colleague rated our driver hid in a car in the bushes outside the building. He asked if he had seen anyone enter or leave the building. He had not. My colleague silently checked the hallway and it was clear. We quickly left the building. While standing outside looking back at the building, we saw trees swaying and heard loud cracks from tree branches breaking. It was as if a giant was walking through the forest by the building. The fear was still racing through us, and we were shocked by what we had seen and experienced. As a result of these encounters, it seems these creatures are found all over the world. In addition, they can influence the reality around them and the perception of the subject in that shared reality. They also seem to be able to change their appearance, shapeshift. Some of these encounters are associated with a potent smell, whilst others are not. The town of Pripyat in Ukraine is highly radioactive. People visiting the zone for long periods are affected by this radiation. If these creatures are living in the zone for long periods, they don't... Shit. That was the shitten discovering the rat traps, 2 of them. Guess it didn't catch them. Oh my god. Oh boy. He's probably got a sore forehead, I'll bet. Poor little bugger. Sorry about that one. Shit. I put up a foaming across the doorway. I guess it jumped over. I didn't notice. Poor little bugger. I'll check on him in a minute. Alright. The town of Pripyat in Ukraine is highly radioactive. People visiting the zone for long periods are affected by this radiation. If the creatures are living in the zone for long periods, they don't seem to be affected by radiation in the same way as it affects humans. Keep up the great work, Steve. Thank you for providing a safe platform for people to share. Take care. Stay safe. Kind regards, James L. Stewart. James, absolutely appreciate that email, man. Very informative. And I'm super stoked to hear about the radiation mentioned, the radioactive community mentioned, because I believe it was Edgar that shared with us that he, after numerous times of seeing these beings inside, past all the security barriers of nuclear facilities, standing there staring straight up at the cameras, checked their footprints with the Geiger counter, and they had radiation readings from them. Go figure, right? Go figure. Do I have the answers to that one? Nope. But it's something that we got to pay attention to, right? Unless you want to insist on pretending that they are a nesting, migrating game animal instead, going in circles for 25 years. Crazy, man. That must have been one hell of an adventure just to see that town alone. I would be absolutely interested in seeing that. I heard there's a huge wolf problem there. Wolves preying on humans near there. Massive wolf packs. I actually got emailed from a Russian looking for knowledge on how to deal with wolves over there. Problem wolves. Here's another one called, this is titled The Truth Bomb. Again, man, you got anything else you want to share that's going to help the people, make sure you get it into me, alright? The Truth Bomb. The following is a short and concise essay containing observations, experiences, and knowledge provided to me over the last 67 years. Right on, one of our senior human beings. I'm looking forward to hearing the knowledge. Many of the things I talk about will not be easy to believe due to the simple fact that much of this information has been hidden from the public's eyes and ears. It has been a long and hard journey, which has been very rewarding and frustrating at the same time. There have been a handful of times I should have died, but something intervened. There have been several times that I have said to myself, I wish I didn't know what I know. Same. Now I know why I have been guided along this path. I was told once, when the time comes, you will know. I don't expect many to believe due to the nature of what I'm about to say, and that is completely understandable. We all have been taught to believe specific things, and for a reason. I certainly wouldn't ask anyone to believe it without researching any of my following statements. First, I'd like to state my observations and knowledge on the forest people, also known as Sasquatch, Sabe, or Bigfoot. These beings have been on this planet before humankind. They have abilities that most humans would call magic. They can communicate to one another and other beings through thought, mind speak. They are masters of energy and can manipulate themselves to appear and disappear. Many can travel from place to place in an instant. Many of them are here to act as guardians over this planet and humankind's ignorance. They're failing, if that's what their job is. They see in a much wider spectrum of light than humans do. They see us as a shining aura. They have helped humans throughout history, which unfortunately became a threat to them due to our fear, greed, and ignorance. There are some of these beings who have a very strong dislike to humans due to our inabilities to understand the big picture, which I'll explain later. I'm not the only human to have this knowledge. Second, I'd like to state my experiences and knowledge regarding the being from other solar systems and dimensions, those we call extraterrestrials. There are several different types of beings, and many of them have the same abilities as the forest people. I can only speak of the two that I know of. The most common ones I have observed, the Greys and the tall, slender Whites. They have been visiting and manipulating certain aspects of humankind for thousands of years. There are humans who work with these beings and have knowledge and technology far beyond anything the planet is aware of. These extraterrestrials and others have helped humankind throughout history in many ways. There are far more humans to have information regarding extraterrestrials, and much of this information is on the internet, although people must be very careful because there's also a great deal of misinformation as well. Extraterrestrials live on and visit this planet full time. These beings and the forest beings work together because they have a great deal of time and resources invested in this planet, and they love this planet very much. There are also those who are losing their patience with humans due to our ignorance of understanding the big picture, but they also understand that a great deal of information has been kept from most people, and a great deal of misinformation has been given to us. Here lies the dilemma. There's a group of people whose wealth and power enables them to control the information. Laws and so-called leaders of this country and many others. I call them the controllers or the masters. They also control money, banks, world banks, and the stock markets. They are the ones who decide what the president knows and doesn't know. Very little is known about these people due to their ability to use fear, greed, and ignorance to control whoever they choose, including the masses. This is a power beyond anyone's belief. I personally believe these are the same people who orchestrated 9/11. Once you start looking at where the money goes and why certain events happen, it will start to make complete sense. I agree. Sad fact is, not too many people will dedicate the time to dig. If all this sounds a bit far-fetched, I want you to think about how long humans have been controlled using fear, greed, and ignorance. Literally thousands of years. Who better to use this knowledge than the people who have the power over knowledge, commerce, and daily information? Just think about it. I'm a simple man who became interested in the truth at a very early age. I've had several events and encounters that have guided me along this path. I'm only human, and I've been given some very important gifts, knowledge, that I must share with as many people as I can. There is a real thing some call zero-point energy, a free energy source. It is currently being used on this planet at this very moment. There is technology using this energy for healing purposes on this planet at this very moment. Tesla tried to provide humans with this energy information, but those who were wealthy and wanted to use their energy source, because they had control of it, removed and discredited this information. Excuse me, I must be completely honest. This is a promise I made to those who gifted me with knowledge. I must tell the truth as best I can in this moment of time. A great deal of this information I found through reading hundreds of books, listening to thousands of hours of podcasts and audiobooks, and personal experiences and encounters with other beings. Yes, they had given me knowledge using mind speak, but only when I came to a place where I was lost, I wanted to give up. The big picture. I think many of you might be disappointed, then others might go, I think many of you might be disappointed, then others might go, aha. I've mentioned this before, but many of you discarded it as crazy talk from a nutty old man. Everything in this universe and countless others are evolving at their own designated and designed speed. There are countless other beings living in countless other solar systems, all evolving and some not evolving at all. Stuck in time, you might say. Time is very arbitrary and varies greatly depending on where you are in any given place. The beings I speak of are far more evolved and advanced than we are, and there are countless other types of beings who are just beginning. The majority of beings who we are aware of are trying to help us along the way, and they have knowledge of the Creator, although it is very vague to my understanding. I believe that I'm not prepared to have this kind of information. Not yet. I think still recording, yeah? In ending this short essay, I must confess another piece of knowledge that I have known all of my life. I'm not sure if anyone else has experienced this as I have, but I hear about it when people have died and come back to life. I remember a short moment of a place and knowledge given to me prior to becoming a human. I know it sounds crazy, but I've heard other people say the same thing when they have died, then came back to life. There's more in store for our spirit after we die, and that's all I can say. Other than what I remember before becoming an infant human being, I remember being in a very bright and white place and seeing all kinds of human activity here on earth. Then my mother and father and a thought or a voice saying, "Are you sure you're ready for this? Please be kind to one another. Love, compassion, gratitude, and forgiveness will guide you along this path we call life. Sincerely, Paul Roderick Deathridge." Paul, that's quite the email, man. And like you say, there's going to be a lot of people that go, yeah, right. And there's going to be a lot of people that go, right? What a puzzle. It's been interesting to see what kind of puzzle your average person here has in front of them on their table. How big it is, what it includes. Is it just Sasquatch? Some people have a puzzle on just how to perfect the perfect tree knock. Or is there, I wonder how many people their puzzle is encompassing everything and trying to figure out this crazy shit show. That's my puzzle. My puzzle's bigger than this frickin' shop, that's for sure. If it was to be laid out on a floor, I don't even know how far along the puzzle I am. It keeps evolving and changing, getting bigger. My intended purpose was for my puzzle to get smaller and fill in the pieces, but the more I learn, the longer we go, the bigger my puzzle gets. And it sure is one hell of an interesting ride, especially when you can finally break free of the shit show, see it for what it is, and then direct your mind to acquiring true knowledge. Then the puzzle just gets frickin' huge. And about the death thing, I have experienced near death, and I didn't cross the line, but in my mind I was 110% convinced I would be passing over in less than 24 hours. And I can tell you all this, that at that time I wasn't crying for mommy. I wasn't bawling my eyes out asking God to make me a deal to keep me here a little longer. I was actually honestly getting excited and stoked in a way because I was thinking, honestly, the thought that came to me was, wow, where am I going? This is going to be a crazy ride. I wonder where I'm going. I wonder when it's going to happen. Is it going to happen in the morning, in the afternoon, in my sleep? Wow, this is going to be crazy. Okay, I'm ready. Let's do this. And that was my honest attitude. my honest feelings and attitude when I was absolutely convinced I was going to be dead in less than 24 hours. Excuse me. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting ride. It's just unfortunate that this piece of our ride, this human experience, is being, for many people, is just being shit on and ruined from these dark souls that exist today, shoulder to shoulder with us here. It's very frustrating. We need more people to fight back and turn that around. Souls do not come here to experience all of this good, only to be controlled and shit on and held back. And it's just not the way it was supposed to be. And I firmly believe that other people were brought here, excuse me, to fight and ensure that that doesn't happen. I feel. All right, bite my lip. I could really ramble today. I'm a little on fire today. Excuse me. All right, let's read this one. These are all brand new, mind you, all came in recently. Thanks again for that email. Email us back again if you have anything you feel that you want to share with the people. There's a lot of people here who want to listen, all right? A lot. I got to get on to more voices. The Hound of Goshen. My name is Cody. I'm 16 years old. There are 2 parts to this, so it is long, but it is worth the wait. One night, me and a couple of friends went raccoon hunting in South Carolina on Sumter National Forest. We were at a spot on Old Buncombe Road. Buncombe Road? Us being from North Carolina, we were unfamiliar with the area and the local myths and stories. When we arrived to the area and exited the truck, we heard a very high-pitched screaming/howling noise. Despite being in the woods since I was a child, I couldn't recognize it. Neither could my friends. So, we passed off as a coyote or something of that nature. Later that night in the woods, this is around 10:30 or so, we ended up in some river bottoms with knee-high grass, but still had very high visibility. Every time we turned our lights off to listen to our hound dogs, I heard rhythmic footsteps getting closer and closer until finally my brother and my friend heard it as well. We started walking towards it and followed the noise, and it seemed like it would get 30 or so yards through the brush and stop and wait for us to catch up. Red flag. We eventually decided to stop following it because we only had a small rifle that could barely harm a mouse. An hour or so goes by, and we start walking towards our hunting dogs, and my brother sees something white and almost waist high dart through the brush with the same rhythmic footsteps we heard earlier. We all agreed we should have seen whatever it was in the grass, and that's when we started getting creeped out. Walking back to the truck, it seemed like we were walking around in circles for about 30 minutes. And our Garmin GPS compass kept turning each way, making us wander off. Second big red flag, 200 yards to the truck, it said, but we walked for an hour. Finally, back at the truck, I was paranoid and figured I would Google search if anyone else had experienced anything similar in the area. What came up shocked me. I typed in strange experiences in Sumter National Forest. The first sentence that comes up is, whatever you do, stay away from Old Buncombe Road in Sumter National Forest, South Carolina. The legend is someone was wrongfully hung behind the abandoned church on that road, and that's where whatever we were chasing was leading us to. And the dog stayed beside its owner before eventually starving to death. And the legend has, instead of the man haunting the area, the dog did. Settings reported, waist-high dog, white in color, will scream almost like a bobcat and coyote together. Now I was freaked out and so were my friends, so we went home for the night. For the following week it was like we were cursed. Things kept breaking and going wrong, and my brother almost died when his drive shaft folded in his truck. That's very important to the story. Now here's the second part where we actually seen it. We were back in South Carolina, raccoon hunting about a month later in the same area, but made sure to steer clear of Old Buncombe Road. We were driving down this road with large fields on either side and a fence on each side. This time we had another person with us. We were telling about the first part of that story, but they didn't believe us. We passed that road and seen a white dog running up the road. We immediately turned around and it was like it had disappeared. We decided just to drive down Old Buncombe Road and shine our lights around the church, just out of curiosity. And sure enough, there it was, running through the graveyard. We decided that was enough for the night and went home. The following week, my friend Parker's truck broke and almost hurt him. And just nothing went right. Sometimes I doubt what I saw, but everything adds up to the legend. I never believed in ghosts, but sometimes I wondered because of unexplainable experiences like this one. Thank you for your time. I love your videos. Okay, my man. Thanks for the share. It's definitely bizarre. It's not a common theme that we get here on this channel, but consider it shared, my man. Who knows, maybe keep an eye in the comment section below, and maybe somebody who lives near you or around there can fill you in with a little few more details of what they saw, what they know, maybe. Who knows, I don't know. I'm not into ghosts myself. I've had some experiences, not into it. All right, here's another one. Now remember, these are all brand new emails sent in, so I hopefully do not read any twice. Hello, I'm gonna get straight to it, not burn too much time. One night I was driving, doing some small roads about 30 miles south of where I live in central Kentucky. I was on a small one-lane gravel road that went past an abandoned quarry. A great place to go and do some target shooting, by the way, at least in the daylight. As I was driving along, all of a sudden I got this unnerving feeling I was being watched. So after a few minutes I yelled at the window to whatever was watching to just come out and show yourself, if you want to. Well, a few miles later he did just that. As I rounded a bend in the road, my headlights lit up the road and the trees next to the road at the next turn. There he was standing there with his back to me. Let me tell you what, he was a big fellow. He had to have been around 12 to 15 feet tall. He was gray-red color, almost like when a person gets older and his hair turns gray. I had to have only seen him for a few seconds, but it felt like several minutes. And I got a good look at him too. See, the road curved off sharply, and where he was standing put him right in my direct line of sight on the edge of the road. Sorry if that doesn't seem to flow right, but I'm not the best at typing things out. But anyway, I went back a few days later and retraced my tracks, and there was no way I could have mistaken anything else for him. There were no big trees or cedars or even rocks. Just some scrub trees like little saplings around. And that's it. The only thing I regret is not stopping to get a better look, or even a longer look, or even get my phone out and take a picture. Have a good day and God bless, Joseph. Welcome to the Club of No Return, Joseph. Who knows what number member you are? Who knows? It's probably, who knows? I wouldn't even be able to guess at this stage of the game how big this club is. Obviously there's going to be members of this club that don't even know the club exists, or there's other members, right? It's got to be in the hundreds. You know, who knows, globally, I'll bet you there's over 1 million people are aware of the shit show that's going on. I'll bet you it's easy over millions. It's got to be millions. Has to be, right? And another member signs up to the Club of No Return, uninvited, didn't ask for it, no way out. All right. Bigfoot and UFO stories in Friendswood, Texas. Hey man, I just want to start by saying I appreciate you and your channel and all that you do. I salute your brother. Thanks man, and this channel's nothing without you, alright? People like you. Anyways, I have a few stories about some weird stuff I've seen in Friendswood, Texas. So one night my friend and I were hanging out smoking some pot at my other buddy's house back in 2012, and I was 18 at the time. At around 3 in the morning, we decided to walk across town to the friend I was with's parents' house, and as soon as we got past the library in a slightly wooded area, we saw a figure. I couldn't tell exactly what it was, but it was big. It seemed to be on all fours. We froze until it walked off from us, and my friend then asked, "What was that?" Excuse me, and my response was, "Must have been a dog." So we continued on the path, and halfway down the road is the Liberty Tree, pretty much the center of town. And my friend said, there's a time capsule buried by the tree. And as we walked up, a rock landed about 5 feet from me. Then a few seconds later, another landed by my foot. That's when I said, screw this, let's go. And we continued down the street. As we got towards the end, something told me to look back. And as I turned around, we see this very large, very huge, man-like figure pacing back and forth in the road, occasionally reaching down and then throwing its arms up in the air. I felt fear in every inch of my body. Every hair stood up. I've never been so scared to the core in my life. When we told people, they laughed and said we smoked too much, but I know what I saw and what I felt. A few weeks after that, me and that same friend were at my buddy's house smoking again. Of course, haha. We were hanging out in the man cave, the garage. The friend we were at decided to go drive around and smoke in Galveston by the beach. At around 9 p.m., we started hearing a strange noise outside, almost like a helicopter. But it wasn't a helicopter. It's the closest thing I can describe it as. As time went on, the night got weirder. The sound seemed to be doing circles in the sky, and we started to hear other sounds with it. First, it was some type of alarm sound, sonic booms. Then we heard tires peeling out, people screaming, etc. We thought it was the end of the world outside. So we called people trying to see what was going on, and everyone acted as if we were on shrooms or LSD. So we decided to go outside. When we did, it was dead quiet, like nothing. And I mean, we just heard all those noises a few minutes before this. So we went back in the garage, and I called my buddy, whose house we were at, and told him what happened. And he told me he saw a light fly into the Galveston waters. Next day I went to buy some weed down the road, and the guy I was buying from said he saw 2 fighter jets headed towards my direction around 8:30 p.m. So I told him what happened. Never saw anything on the news, and to this day I have no idea what we heard. I have a lot of other stories and friends would, but those are the ones who affected me the most. I'd like to leave the other guys' names out of this, but my name is Joseph Bailey. Again, thanks for all you do. Joseph, thanks, man. And for a note for everybody listening, I'm not a marijuana guy. I never have been. Tried it, obviously. Just not into it. But I can assure you, smoking marijuana does not make you hallucinate and think you've seen a large, hairy, tall guy in the street. Especially more than one person at the same time. It just doesn't do that. If anything, it probably enhances, from what I understand from many of my friends, including law enforcement friends who use it, it actually keeps them, they feel it keeps them more sharp. Go figure. But anyway, welcome to the Club of No Return, man. And maybe somebody from your community from around there will come forward and share their experience or make a comment about your experience in the comment section below this particular video. Maybe. Now, what else we got? This is titled My Experience. At the time I wrote this up, I was 18 and I was unsure if I wanted to send in my story. Please not share my name. Gotcha, no problem. I want to start by saying I'm 18 and a senior in high school. I had a rough childhood, so I spent the time I could out in the woods hunting and fishing, and still do to this day. I actually just bagged this nice buck Friday, not even a week into the Missouri bow season. Right on, man. Good for you. Me and my buddy both got one the same day. I've hunted Missouri. I live in a small town in Missouri, south of Kansas City, about 15 minutes north of Clinton and Truman Lake. I wonder if that's near south of Kansas City. I think I was west of Kansas City in Lacine, where I hunted in the World Turkey Hunting Competitions. Anyway, sorry. I live in a small town in Missouri, south of Kansas City, about 15 minutes north of Clinton and Truman Lake. My name is, and I'm sorry if my writing skills are not very good. Please keep my name out of the video. I have 2 stories to tell. The first one took place about 6 years ago when I was about 12, and I just got into duck hunting with my cousin. I remember this day still like it was yesterday, because it was my first real good duck hunt on a little public marsh that was so far out in the middle of nowhere that we were sure no one knew about it or hunted it. Well, we were wrong. Because as we picked up and headed back towards the truck, we met a man and his son-in-law. This man is now known to me as my adopted-in grandpa. Remember, I said I had a rough childhood. I never really got to go hunting with a father figure, mainly just my cousin, who wasn't much older than me. So we all chatted for a while and then decided to exchange numbers. And me and my cousin wished them luck as they headed into the same marsh to hunt. Later that evening, just as it was getting dark, my cousin had called me saying I left his blind bag out there in the marsh. So I had my mom drop me out there and wait in the parking lot for me. I told her it would take me 30 minutes or more, for it was quite a hike back there. I don't know exactly how far. I just know far, and plus the trail was on a finger ridge that ended into a steep drop down into the flooded timber marsh. So I put my not very bright headlight on and walked in. I only got about 150 yards or so into the woods when I heard what sounded like footsteps mocking mine. So I stopped, and of course it stopped too. Then I felt chills run down my spine and my blood ran cold. I got my grits and continued walking, and continued hearing the sound and continued to stop and listen. By the time I had reached the edge where the steep drop is, I stopped and heard whatever it was following me to my right, keep walking until it was straight in front and below me. But somehow I felt like I was being towered over. I'd already tried to shine my dull headlight into the trees and see what it was, but I could not pick anything out. At this point, I was shook. I swear, Steve, I've never been this scared in my life. Once I got in front of it, like it was trying to be Once it got in front of it's like it wasn't trying to be as stealthy anymore. It started breathing so heavy. I kept trying to see what it was with my dull light. I just couldn't see it, but I know it was at least 10 to 15 feet in front of me. Once I realized this thing was not letting me by, and I had finally gained control of my fear, I started to back away slowly. It followed my every step. What a prick. What a shit prick thing to do to an innocent kid. It followed my every step, breathing heavy the whole way. Fearing of tripping over a log, I turned slowly around, kept my head low, and slowly walked out. The whole time it trailed behind me, shaking earth as it stepped. And it followed me until I was about 70 yards away from my mom in the parking lot. Once I got in the car, she asked me what was wrong, and I said I looked like I had seen a ghost. I looked at her and turned furious, yelling at her to get the hell out of here. She kept trying to ask me what was wrong. I told her I'd talk once she got me the hell out of there. She then put the car in drive and proceeded to head towards home. I never told her, but she knew something was, and she nor I never spoke of it. I've only told a select few people due to fear ridicule. Added info from July 5th, 2022. I have a couple of other strange encounters, one just a couple days ago, frog gigging. I'll share those soon, and all at one time since I'll type it up on a laptop. Take care, thank you for what you do. Also, don't share the picture. And I'm the one on the left. That was my biggest buck to date. Scored 169 and 7/8 inches. Shit, dude, where's the picture? That's a big buck. There's big bucks in Missouri. I stayed at a popular lodge in Missouri before we went to Lacine, and we had a turkey there. I don't know if any of you have heard of Mike Miller, the turkey killer. Celebrity status turkey hunter in the States was with us. And I'm duck hunting. I'm not a duck hunter, so it's kind of funny. The more beer and whiskeys that went down, everybody in the room was just going crazy on their duck calls. I'll never forget that. I wish I could remember the place that we stayed at, but it was a very sought after, popular duck hunting and turkey hunting and deer hunting place. They had some great racks on the wall in their little bar. But anyways, man, if I could offer you up any any help at all, it would be to please listen to the words of our elders, especially the First Nations elders that I've shared, all right? Listen to what they have to say and their advice. Speak out loud when you go out there. Tell them not to scare you and to leave you alone, all right? Just do it. Because I didn't have anybody to teach me the outdoors either, really. I mean, I went fishing with my grandfather when I was a kid. My grandparents when I was a young boy, but nobody was into hunting, and I had to pick up hunting on my own, and I ran around the woods by myself with a bow and arrow since I was like 13 or 12 or something. But so I feel for you in that department, and stick with the outdoors. That's what kept me out of jail for sure. And never ever quit. Don't quit going hunting and fishing. The outdoors, just don't quit. All right? Do not quit, and do not be afraid. Don't be afraid of anything. Use your common sense, but do not fear, all right, when you're out there. And you speak out loud to leave you alone, and do not scare you, and just to leave you alone, all right? Anyway, thanks for sending that email in, man. And you got more you want to share, you send it in. And don't be scared of people, all right? Don't be scared of what people think. Speak the truth no matter what, because at least you did, right? At least you spoke the truth. Whatever reactions you get for speaking the truth, oh well, it's got nothing to do with you. But don't be scared, speak the truth always, and share your knowledge with everyone you can, when you can, especially to those it may affect, all right? There you go. There's my babble. There's my babble. Now, what have I got to do? I got to return. I went and rented one of those those motorized augers. Beat the shit out of me, but I got it done. I think I laid down 40 frickin' posts yesterday. I got it done, and I got to return that, come home, and start packing and getting ready to go get these guys some fish, some salmon, halibut tomorrow. The next few days. I don't think I'm going to be back for over a week, but I will bring that GoPro. That SD card should be on the boat, and I can edit up, and it takes a while, but I can load people's voices onto here while I'm there, but it just takes like a day and a half or something for the video to finally load here. And anyway, there you go. And don't forget, every word that I shared in the beginning of this video I meant. It's easy to look into, and if you have any common sense about you at all, you will see that what is going down today has nothing to do with bettering the quality of life for the common folk. It just doesn't. They proved it. They've slapped us silly. They've slapped us silly with that fact. You just have to jump out of your little bubble and have a look in for a little bit and see what's going on. It's very clear. It's unfortunate. And do not comply. Mass non-compliance and homeschooling. Right now, those are the possibly the top two routes that you can start to gaining back your freedoms and quality of life. Anyway, I'm going to go before I start rambling. Be safe out there. Do not comply.